Hey everybody, if you're watching this video, it means that we're no longer at school on an everyday basis, that we're doing some kind of hybrid learning where we're on campus and then at home learning, or we're just completely at home once again doing our online learning. And if that's the case, then we need to have some kind of a work area, a home ceramic studio, if you will, where we can create our pottery to keep up on our assignments. So what I have is just a good hard surface, one preferably that you can wash off with a sponge and water. So in my basement we have this little countertop, and it's ideal, for working with clay. It's a good smooth surface and I can just sponge it off. Now clay does tend, even after washing, it tends to leave a little bit of a residue. So one thing that I like to do, just to help with the cleanup especially, is put down a little bit of newspaper, and I'll tape this down to my countertop so that, like I said, it just makes it much easier to clean up. But taping it down will keep it from sliding around while I'm doing my work as well. So a little bit of tape. Now you don't want to leave this tape down for a long time, so I wouldn't leave this down like overnight. When you're done with your working session, then I'd get it all cleaned up, just throw the paper away, and then the next day, next time you're going to do some work, put down another piece of paper. If you happen to have some painter's tape, that would even be better than just regular masking tape. Now at school, you had a box similar to this with a bunch of tools in it. You will have had to leave those tools at school. So we need to find some replacement for these things at home. First of all, if you have your cutoff wire, the little lugs that you made at school, this is one tool that I've allowed you to bring home with you. But if you didn't bring your cutoff wire home with you, one easy alternative is just to find two little handles. In this case, I have pulled two little washers out of some garden hoses. And then I just strung some dental floss in between it. Now if you don't have dental floss, then perhaps some fishing line, any kind of thin, tough string will do just fine for a wire tool. You also have a sponge at school, and to replace your sponge, there's lots of different things. There's these painter sponges that you could use. There are also makeup sponges that work just fine as well. Or you can just use a kitchen sponge if you have that also. Then you have probably the tool that you'll use the most is your needle tool. That needle tool is very valuable, mainly for just scoring the surface of clay, making it rough so that you can join two pieces of clay together. My favorite tool to replace that is this little gift card. And you can see along this edge, I just took some scissors and cut a zigzag. And that will make it really easy to very quickly scratch the surface of your clay. Now, another nice tool that you have at school is this metal scraper. So I took that same gift card and I just rounded off one edge to kind of mimic the curve of that metal scraper as well. So this one tool takes care of both of those. This is a very handy tool. Might even, when we get back into school, might even bring this back to school with you. I also have a wood knife that's really nice just for cutting and carving clay. And I just found in my kitchen a really dull knife. Like it won't cut me at all. It's not sharp at all, but it's just a nice replacement. Nice dull knife, works really well. And then we have this loop tool. This is a rather large loop tool, but it's nice for trimming pots on the wheel, which we may not get to any wheel throwing, obviously, at home. But a loop tool is really nice for just carving the clay. And so as a replacement for my loop tool, what I've done is just taken a regular pen, a Bic pen, and I'm just going to take the center out of that pen so I have this hollow tube. With that hollow tube, I'm now going to take a bobby pin and use that as the end of my loop tool. Just going to open this up a little bit, make it so the the round part of that bobby pin is a little bit bigger. You can see that maybe, a little bigger there. And then I'm just going to slide it into the tube of my pen. If I can get it in there. Now to help hold that in place, I've got a little bit of glue, some super glue, and I'm just going to fill that up with some super glue and let that dry, and that'll be a nice little loop tool. Here are a couple that I've already made. If you can see those, a smaller one and a bigger one. So I'll be using these to help carve my clay with. Okay, so I've got all my tools. I've got a place to work. I've got some clay, you know, that you should have grabbed at school. Now, one thing I'm going to have to do is make some slip. You're going to need some slip to, you know, to join two pieces of clay together with. So the best way to make some slip, because we don't have clay powder like we have at school, is just to take some clay. I'm just going to take little chunks of clay and put them into my slip container. So you're going to have to find a container, maybe a yogurt container or a cottage cheese container, something to put your clay into to make your slip. I'm going to fill this about halfway with these little chunks of clay. I'm pulling it apart into little pieces so that it will dry faster. Because to make slip, it's helpful to have some dry clay. So there's the clay that I've broken up. I'm going to let that sit overnight. Now tomorrow, it's going to look nice and light in color like that. And that's how you want it now for this next step of making slip. And that is simply just to add some water to that until it's just about completely covering the clay, but there's some bits of clay sticking up out of the water. So now that clay is going to absorb that water, that dry clay, and in really just a few minutes, it's going to look like that. So maybe about 10, 15 minutes, it'll start breaking down. And now I'm going to use just one of my tools here. I'll just use my wood knife, or not my wood knife, my replacement knife. I'm just going to stir that up, and I've got some really nice looking slip there. Okay, make sure that you have a lid. My lids are back here. Just cover that up. And now, with all of my tools, with my slip, with my clay that I have right here, I am now ready to start working on my assignments. Now, at the end of the day, once I'm done working, one thing I'm going to do is, when it comes to cleanup, if I have like a sponge that has a lot of clay in it, I'm going to have a bucket with water in it. One thing you do not want to do, and I have a sink behind me here, but I do not want to wash my tools in a sink. Any clay residue that's in those tools will go down the drain. And the clay is very heavy, and it's going to sit in the bottom of that gooseneck in your drain, or worse, it'll go further into your pipes and start to settle in the bottom of your pipes. And that can eventually cause some problems. So I'm going to wash all of my tools in this bucket, and then I'm going to take this bucket of clay water outside and just dump it in the grass. There's not a lot of clay in there, and it's not going to hurt the grass. I mean, the clay comes from nature anyway. But I want to make sure that I'm not putting clay down my sink. So once my tools are cleaned up, then I can just take this newspaper, kind of crumple that up at the end of my work day, get all the tape off of there. Just throw this in the garbage. May need to take a sponge over that, and then we're good to go. So that is how you want to set up your home studio.